A beautiful mosaic above the altar in the church shows the dramatic moment. From the Gospel of Luke. About 8 days after Jesus said this, he took Peter, John, and James with him, and went up onto a mountain to pray. As he was praying, the appearance of his face changed, and his clothes became as bright as a flash of lightning. 2 men, Moses and Elijah, appeared in glorious splendor, talking with Jesus. They spoke about his departure, which he was about to bring to fulfillment at Jerusalem. The disciples kept this to themselves and did not tell anyone at that time what they had seen. Jesus is now on his way south, taking a route less traveled through Samaria. The disciples are troubled as just before the Transfiguration, Jesus predicted that the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected by the elders, the chief priests, and the teachers of the law, and he must be killed and on the 3rd day be raised to life. Probably in an effort to make plans for the future, the disciples began to argue over leadership. Quote, an argument started among the disciples as to which of them would be greatest. Jesus, knowing their thoughts, took a little child and had her stand beside him. Then he said to them, whoever welcomes this little child in my name welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me. For it is the one who is least among you all who is the greatest. The children of the Holy Land are beautiful. Even as many of them born to Palestinian parents struggle with poverty and the effort to establish a stable homeland. These children are from the Anglican school in Nazareth, where Muslims, Jews, and Christians all attend together, learning in English, Hebrew, and Arabic. They are truly the greatest in this community. Along the way to Jerusalem, Jesus continues his healing ministry. Now on his way to Jerusalem, Jesus traveled along the border between Samaria and Galilee. As he was going into a village, 10 men who had leprosy met him. They stood at a distance and called out in a loud voice, Jesus, Master, have pity on us. When he saw them, he said, go and show yourselves to the priests. And as they went, they were cleansed. The Church of the 10 Lepers is one of the oldest in Christendom. It is built partly into a hillside, and the original cave in which the lepers were quarantined is evident. Looking up, a pilgrim can see the hole in the roof, through which the unfortunate were lowered, and through which the occasional provisions might be dropped. Leaving the area of Samaria, Jesus traveled east and dropped down to the trade routes along the lush Jordan Valley to the gateway village of Jericho. Jericho is an ancient city remembered as the first hurdle of conquest of the freed Hebrews led by Joshua. But Jesus makes his own unlikely conquest up in the branches of a sycamore tree. Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. A man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but because he was short, he could not see over the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore fig tree to see him, since Jesus was coming that way. When Jesus reached the spot, he looked up and said to him, Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today. The road from Jericho to Jerusalem is a wilderness road, navigated by generations of conquerors, the conquered by travelers and merchants from many lands, and by many pilgrims. Travelers make their way up from minus 1,412 feet below sea level to the heights where the holy city of Jerusalem, 2,472 feet above sea level, is perched, a difference of 3,884 feet. Winding up the long track, pilgrims see the scenery change dramatically from desert to scrub to the bustling city of Jerusalem. Jesus' route took him even higher, to the town of Bethany, perched along the east side of the Mount of Olives, where he spent the night with his old friends Mary, Martha, and their brother Lazarus. But upon his arrival, Jesus is met with a scene of chaos and grief. Lazarus had died, and his grief-stricken sisters could not understand why Jesus had not arrived in time to save him. Jesus goes to the tomb, and in a dramatic moment calls Lazarus out into life. Martha and Mary hear Jesus say the great words, "I am resurrection and I am life." These words still open the burial service in the Episcopal service today. This picture of a first-century tomb shows the structure of a larger cave with smaller niches. A newly buried body would be laid in the larger chamber directly behind the door. Everyone present that day could see the dramatic raising of Lazarus. But many biblical scholars agree that the miracle of the raising of Lazarus was the final insult to the religious leaders in nearby Jerusalem. In fact, the scene became so tense that, according to the Gospel of John, Jesus no longer moved about publicly among the people of Jerusalem. Instead, he withdrew to a region near the wilderness, to a village called Ephraim, where he stayed with his disciples. The modern-day town of Tybe is the site of ancient Ephraim and is the only all-Christian village left in Palestine. The first church in Tybe was built in honor of St. George. It is now in ruins, but still has the footprint of an early Christian church built in the shape of a cross, with a place for holy baptism. Jesus returned to Bethany 6 days before the Passover, once again staying at the home of Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. The Church of Lazarus, seen hereby on the left, is near the home where the sisters held a dinner for Jesus. In the Gospel of John it says, "Mary took a pound of costly perfume made of pure nard, anointed Jesus' feet, and wiped them with her hair." We have now reached a point of transition in our journey. Next week, join in as we trace the joyous procession of Jesus from the top of the Mount of Olives to the Temple in Jerusalem. This Palm Sunday celebration also contains some contemplative moments as we remember Jesus weeping at the sight of Jerusalem. Thank you for joining in this spiritual pilgrimage.